July 31st, 2025, Ukraine's 414th Strike UAV Brigade detected a Russian soldier. Exhausted, weary, and all alone, the soldier continued moving forward, unaware that he was being watched by a drone. After walking for a long time, he took cover under a tree to rest. Then, a Ukrainian FPV drone was launched toward him. It slowly approached the soldier. He noticed the drone at the last moment, but it was already too late. He had become its target. In the area near Robotyne, Zaporizhzhia Oblast, a Russian soldier riding an electric scooter became the target of a Ukrainian kamikaze drone. Choosing an unusual mode of transport on the front line, the soldier traveled a long distance along the road. Unbeknownst to him, a Ukrainian kamikaze drone was silently tracking him from behind. The inevitable end. He was struck by the drone. A Russian soldier was tracked by drones. As he entered a makeshift toilet, FPV drones moved in. Before he could realize what was happening, he became the target. A Russian soldier, searching for a safe place to hide, was unaware that he was being watched by drones. Moments later, he became the target of a bomb-laden kamikaze drone. Trapped inside a ruined building, a Russian soldier desperately tries to escape an approaching drone controlled by a Ukrainian operator. A Russian soldier trying to escape the drone quickly ran into a house, but he couldn't survive the high explosive payload carried by the drone. Ukraine's 414th Strike UAV Brigade, home to some of the country's most active drone operators, targeted Russian infantry throughout the week. In just 1 week, 58 Russian soldiers were neutralized. Over the course of a month, hundreds of drone strikes were carried out. A group of Russian soldiers trying to quickly escape the combat zone in a military vehicle became the target of Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade. A kamikaze drone sent after them locked directly onto the vehicle. The soldier driving did not survive the attack. The others escaped. On the same road, another vehicle was struck by a kamikaze drone. The soldiers tried to exit at the last moment, but only one managed to get out. However, the soldier who escaped the vehicle didn't get far. FPV drone operators kept tracking him, and he soon became their target. Ukraine's 30th Mechanized Brigade used fiber-optic FPV drones to ambush Russian soldiers in the direction of Solidar. First, a Russian soldier hiding inside a scrap vehicle became the target of the drone. The second drone strike targeted a group of Russian soldiers gathered in front of a storage facility. As they stepped outside to collect ammunition, the drone struck before they even realized what was happening. Russian assault groups were neutralized in the Sumy direction. Ukrainian drone operators from the 1st Detachment of the 8th Special Operations Forces Regiment launched FPV drone attacks on a 5-man Russian assault team. After the first strike, the Russian soldiers scattered in different directions, but numerous drones were sent after them. Caught in open terrain, the soldiers were left completely defenseless against the incoming drones. Some tried to hide in a ditch and bring down the drone, but failed. Others attempted to conceal themselves in tall grass, but couldn't avoid detection. Within just 10 minutes, all 5 Russian soldiers lost their lives. The infantry's complete vulnerability to drones highlights how powerful these UAVs have become on the battlefield. As night fell, drone strikes continued with the help of thermal imaging. A Ukrainian drone operator set up an ambush along the road, waiting for Russian soldiers to pass. When the troops noticed the drone, they tried to run. Some attempted to hide in the bushes, but none managed to escape. This time, the drone targets Russian soldiers riding an ATV. After spotting the drone, the soldiers quickly steer into a wooded area. They escape with only a few seconds to spare, but the vehicle is destroyed. Dozens of Russian drones and missiles have been attacked Kyiv city at night of 31st July. An accident occurred during the firing of Ukraine's BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher system. Fortunately, the soldiers managed to escape. A tank from Ukraine's 64th Mechanized Battalion launched an assault on buildings used by Russian assault units in the Donetsk region. These buildings, which Russian troops had turned into fortified shelters, had previously been targeted by FPV and kamikaze drone strikes, but with little effect. As a result, the tank was brought in. After nearly an hour of continuous fire, the buildings were completely leveled. The Ukrainian tank successfully hit all its targets and left the area without taking any damage. The Ukrainian Air Force dropped 2 bombs on a building housing Russian soldiers. It was determined that the building was being used by Russian drone operators. Ukrainian drone operators from the Signum Battalion used fiber optic FPV drones to strike a Russian tank hidden in the forest. The first attack destroyed the wire barrier in front of the tank. Russian forces camouflage many military vehicles this way to protect them from drones. However, it's impossible to hide from low-flying reconnaissance drones. As the FPV drone took off for a second strike, it directly hit the tank. July 31st, 2025. A Russian mechanized convoy was halted by fiber optic FPV drones and unmanned aerial bomber aircraft operated by Ukraine's Omega Special Operations Forces. A convoy of 3 Russian armored vehicles came under continuous bombardment. The drones repeatedly dropped bombs on the armored vehicles. Although a specialized additional armor on the vehicle's outer surfaces temporarily helped repel some drone attacks, it was not enough. Cornered in open terrain, the Russian mechanized convoy was completely destroyed. The Apache Strike Group, part of Ukraine's 81st Airmobile Brigade, destroyed Russian vehicles using FPV drones. Russian soldiers attempted to advance using civilian vehicles and oddly camouflaged armored transports, but they faced relentless kamikaze attacks along the entire route. Slow-moving armored vehicles became easier targets for the drones. None of the Russian soldiers managed to exit the exploding armored vehicle. The vehicle was engulfed in flames. On July 30th, 2025, Ukrainian fiber optic FPV drones from the Signum Battalion targeted Russian military vehicles, soldiers, and equipment in the Kreminna direction, Luhansk Oblast. The strikes resulted in significant damage to Russian forces. A group of Russian soldiers, having dismounted from their vehicle, noticed the drone, but it was already too late. Throughout the week, continuous kamikaze and FPV drone strikes caused significant damage to Russian defensive positions and supply routes. Russian forces have remained helpless against drones since the war began. A Ukrainian fiber optic FPV drone struck a Russian ATV. The precision-guided attack disabled the vehicle instantly. Russian soldiers hiding inside a building noticed the incoming drone at the last moment. But before they could escape, they were already its target. A Ukrainian drone from the 7th Army Corps targeted a Russian soldier hiding inside a small building. The soldier attempted to shoot down the drone, but failed. Ukraine's Omega Special Forces unit shot down 3 Russian Molniya drones and 1 Lancet UAV. The operation successfully neutralized all targets that had violated Ukrainian airspace. July 29th, 2025. A Ukrainian FPV drone destroyed a Russian OFAB 250 bomb after it crashed and landed directly on Russian positions in the Bakhmut Solidar sector. The strike was carried out by Ukraine's 30th Mechanized Brigade. As of July 31st, 2025, intense fighting continues along multiple fronts in the Russia-Ukraine war. In the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, Ukrainian forces are maintaining pressure through FPV drone strikes. Heavy clashes have been reported around Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Kreminna, where Ukrainian mechanized brigades and drone units successfully halted several Russian assault attempts. Along the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson axes, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones, kamikaze UAVs, and long-range precision strikes continue to degrade Russian supply lines and logistics convoys.